So you want to pull Feixiao, but are still sitting on the fence if the Feixiao buff beauty is the right pull for your account? Then you are at the right place. By the end of the video, you will exactly know her pull value, what other options are there, aka competition, and how much investment you need to make her pop off. My name is Star Impact, let's get into it. But first, what does Feixiao actually do? The super slim answer is, she is the follow-up based wind Acheron of single target. So, like the lady in purple, Feixiao also comes with a stacking mechanic for her ultimate, but instead of collecting debuffs like Pokemon, she counts all ally attacks, including her own, minus her ultimate. So, the more often your team slaps enemies, the faster you can nuke with her ultimate. I will discuss her complete kit in all its glory in my upcoming guide, but for now let's discuss who else you need to consider before pulling her. And so, in this very patch, we get bombed with so many options. Robin, Kafka, Black Swan, Topaz, and Linksha. The ultimate woman package. Well, what a coincidence. Robin and Topaz just happen to be two of Feixiao's best options right off the bat. Starting with Robin, she is best in slot right there for Feixiao herself, which makes her rank at the top of the prior list to get. It's stupid how good her massive team-wide attack buff and the damage bonus are, being great in pretty much any dual DPS team that stings fast. Especially follow-up and erudition teams like Ratio, Topaz or Jade Himiko, to name a few. She does nothing but singing, but still somehow absolutely dominates pure fiction, and scores no less than T0.5 everywhere else. She is the one to get right after female Dr. Doolittle, Ram May. So, if you care to get the best for your Jays, she's right there. Now Topaz, you can skip. Nothing to see here. Nah, JK, she is a top tier option into Feixiao. She gets lots of stacks for her and makes the main target take more damage. But the follow-up core is an entire shtick for the tax lady and a stand of a pick. And more importantly, in both Dr. Ratio and Feixiao teams, you can manage without her for the time being. At least until you get Robin. Maybe pick her up another time, but for now, eyes on the prize. Then we got the ultimate dummy mommy duo of Kafka and Black Swan. They are a 1-for-2 deal. You literally have to get both for full satisfaction, or nothing. If you go for it, you lock in hard for AoE, DOT and the nihility, which means they alone will destroy your wallet in its will to live, and in the process, pull you away the furthest from Feixiao. A good team for pure fiction. But here comes the kicker. While they are good at what they do, Feixiao will be the best at what she does. Literally T0 the heck out of Apocalyptic Shadow. So, I hate to destroy your mommy collecting ambitions, but your Jades are better off with Feixiao. And then there's Linksha. The Sparkle Tingyun hybrid goes to take on Gallagher and break teams, but unlike him, she is going to eat your skill point economy for breakfast, which makes her difficult to play into Firefly teams. But we're going to see soon enough if she makes up her speed hunger in other ways when she's up next. So it's going to be Robin or Feixiao, Kafka BS, Topaz and then finally Linksha for your account in general. But what about her teams as a whole and her investment options? It would be a problem if she were a one-trick pony that makes hard requirements. So Feixiao has a premium team of Topaz, Robin and Aventurine. Every one of you who has seen her kit knows this, but the good news is she has decent alternatives, which is true for every slot on her team. For Topaz, you have Moze and March. Moze has very frequent follow-up attacks plus debuffing, similar to Topaz. This means he's able to stack up Feixiao's ult very fast. March has less debuffing or follow-ups than Moze, but she makes up for this with higher personal damage with her enhanced basic attack, a very solid character. Then there is the support slot, where Robin is the gold standard, but Dr. Dolittle is a competent alternative. She has a specific synergy with Feixiao, being her toughness damage bonus, as Feixiao's ultimate does higher damage when the enemy is weakness broken, and Romei speeds up the break potential a lot. And as if being an insane character at E0 isn't enough, Feixiao also has one of the strongest vertical investments in the game. Her entire team does. Feixiao's E1 is solid, but the E2 is the real game changer. It gives one stack of her ultimate whenever somebody does a follow-up. This is an insane amount of extra stacks, being able to give you a whole 2 or even 3 extra ults in 3 cycles, which is an absurd amount of extra damage. And don't get me started on the teammates. Topaz has a E1 which makes enemies take 50% more crit damage. And oh, you thought that was it? Her signature light cone gives us 24%. And then there's Robin's E1 with 24% resistance pen. For reference, Romei's res pen from her ult is 25%. So yeah, Robin E1 adds a ridiculously amount of extra damage, and then there's Aventurine's light cone as well, adding another debuff into the mix. In short, Feixiao is going Omega nuclear ballistic even at early con levels. Speaking of going ballistic, let's talk about her damage and then some of her cons. It's clear Feixiao is going to be a very strong DPS, capable of throwing down the gauntlet no matter how thick the enemy is. It's one of the highest single target potentials in the entire game, beating out Dr. Ratio, Acheron and Firefly. There's only one character that can beat her in this regard, being Boothill. But Boothill suffers a lot more against multiple targets, because he requires his ult to implement physical weaknesses in longer fights. Feixiao does not have this issue, making her the best single target DPS in the game, not to mention how her frequent follow-up boosts Topaz's damage output. If I had to complain about something, it would be AoE. Yes, she does fare better than Boothill, but that's it. Feixiao's a hunt unit, which means naturally AoE scenarios will be a pain to deal with. So yeah, pure fiction is not going to be her forte, but more interesting is the MOC. Her usage will depend on the enemy lineup. Feixiao is able to handle 1 to 2 enemies super well. If you add like a third trash mob, it's fine as well, but once there's a 4th enemy, it becomes a real problem. But to be clear, I ain't blaming her. It's the result of her specialization. The issue I see with Feixiao's teammates is that you wouldn't use them in too many other places. Moze and Topaz are specialist characters, only functioning in low target follow-up teams. This means you will only be using them with your Feixiao or Dr. Ratio and not much anywhere else. Hunt March also has a use case with Yunli due to her high damage, but even there she's not the best. Robin is also mainly used on follow-up teams and suffers from energy issues in other places, but at least her buffing is very strong. As for Aventurine, he gets a pass. He's just broken. If we consider everything, Feixiao is going to be a great addition for most people, especially if you already have invested into follow-up teams, or got Robin and Topaz already. Then it's a no-brainer decision. But even if you don't have built anything and you don't even have Robin, she's still worth going for. She's just that good. Sure, if you have Boothill, you are covered for single target DPS, but even for that case, a second one of that caliber is not going to hurt you, especially since we still have to deal with 2 halves. There's pretty much no matter reason not to get her unless you don't like her design. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. This has been Neostar Impact, signing out.